Hey guys, welcome to day 6 of our digital launch. Today we're going to be discussing simulation and composer, so hope you enjoy.
It's in the stars. Hasn't it always been? As far back as humans go, we've been looking up. Our drive to explore our universe has always pushed technology forward. The Canada-France-Hawaii telescope has been giving us clear glimpses into the cosmos for over 40 years. But technology changes a lot in 40 years. So when it's time for a redesign, you need a system that has performance, attention to detail, a full design ecosystem, and offers the latest innovations. Welcome to the 2019 SOLIDWORKS release, presented to you by CAD Dimensions.
SOLIDWORKS simulation has been around for a while. Every year, SOLIDWORKS puts in many enhancements. Sometimes they're big showstoppers, and sometimes they're small enhancements that help everyday designers set up their simulations easier and faster. In SOLIDWORKS 2018, we got the ability to create pin connectors with up to 10 faces in a linear static analysis. So whenever we had a hinge or tab joint, we only needed to create one pin. With SOLIDWORKS 2019, they've extended this functionality to nonlinear and linear dynamic studies. So now more of your studies can be set up easier and more efficiently. Next is the redesign of the remote load and mass feature. It has a more intuitive UI and an overall better user experience. You can now define a remote load or a displacement in any direction with one click. Hopefully, more of you will be able to take advantage of this time-saving piece of functionality. But it doesn't have to stop there. We've always had the option to connect our remote loads rigidly or with a direct transfer. In 2019, we can still make rigid connections, but instead of a vague direct transfer, we now have the option of creating a distributed coupling and setting how the coupling attaches to the selected face. So what does this mean? As you can see, choosing default, linear, quadratic, or cubic can affect the results significantly, giving you more control when using distributed loads. Next up, something everyone always asks about, performance and stability. Most of the work here is done behind the scenes at the kernel level. This year, the Direct Sparse and Intel Direct Sparse solvers are using the latest Intel Math kernel library. We expect improvements in the overall stability and performance. Also, the Intel Direct Sparse solver is reconfigured for optimized performance for linear static studies with multiple load cases. We can see here that in 2019, this case runs almost 3 times faster than it did in 2018. Last year, SOLIDWORKS introduced topology studies. With topology studies, we're able to optimize parameters like mass or displacement while finding the best stiffness to weight ratio. With SOLIDWORKS 2019, topology study offers designers many new options to speed the development of highly optimized products. Topology studies in SOLIDWORKS 2019 includes frequency constraint to ensure the resulting topology will meet your design's vibration requirements. Now we can specify single or multiple mode shapes and have options for frequency ranges to stay within or to exclude. We can also apply a stress or factor of safety constraint to ensure the resulting topology will meet our design goal. Using the Compare Results tool, we can quickly visualize topology differences from adding the 150 Hz minimum frequency constraint. Finally, the smooth meshed results can be directly exported to a solid mesh body for downstream processes like 3D printing. With topology study, finding the ideal shape to meet your design requirements is easier and faster than ever, speeding the design to manufacturing process. Lastly, there's an improved algorithm for mid-node stress averaging. For high-quality solid elements, this can be helpful in corner areas where your mesh is a little too large for the surrounding geometry. Every year, simulation adds functionality at all levels and little goodies for all users. This year is no different. SOLIDWORKS Simulation 2019 will do its part to bring analysis to more users and make designers and engineers more productive. Ever since the introduction of SOLIDWORKS Plastics, developers have been working hard on merging it with the simulation family. This year, they've made huge advancements in that area. A tremendous benefit for 2019 is the addition of geometry-based gate locations. You can now select these gate positions on a face or sketch point. Why not have the ability to set up those boundary conditions ahead of time? We now can keep working on our designs once the gates are defined. Also new to 2019 is the ability to specify a control valve the same way as you specify a gate location. Also, because these are geometry-based as well, any design changes that don't affect the selected faces will not affect the gates. Many times you want to define a preset mold wall temperature. Again, with 2019, we can do all this work pre-mesh as a geometry-based setting. Any dimensional or material changes will not affect this boundary condition. Keeping with the geometry-based improvements, Plastics 2019 has geometry-based mesh controls. This works just like in SOLIDWORKS simulation. The local mesh is applied and attaches to faces. Finally, a simple enhancement that will save you a bunch of time when you want to start a plastics project from scratch. In Plastics 2019, right-clicking on top of the study tree, you can clear the whole study. The theme for Plastics 2019 is Set It and Forget It, which based on all these improvements, they have achieved. Now, using plastics will feel much more like using all of our other great SOLIDWORKS simulation products.
In SOLIDWORKS Flow Simulation 2019, the improvements can be broken down into two sections: quality of life improvements and performance upgrades. Some of the enhancements are designed to get your study up and running faster, while some of them are designed to increase the flexibility in the way you display results. In SOLIDWORKS Flow Simulation 2019, it is easier than ever to add convergence goals while you are defining your boundary conditions. The checkbox at the bottom of the dialog box, Create Associated Goals, will put a goal on the face you define your boundary condition on, related to your boundary condition. You can set what kind of goals are associated with different boundary conditions here in the Flow Simulation options. Navigate to Tools, Flow Simulation, Tools, Options, and under the Automatic Goals section, you can customize which goals appear with each condition. For this study, I associated volume flow rates with the static pressure boundary condition. When I add my boundary conditions to each lid, the surface goals are automatically generated, saving time and allowing me to get results faster. The second quality of life improvement introduced in Flow Simulation 2019 is the ability to edit two resistor components right from the Component Explorer table, rather than having to edit each one individually. If I wanted to see how my model dissipates heat with a different component defined, I can change that with a few simple mouse clicks. The 2019 quality of life improvements are designed to get you through the setup process faster and get results into your hands as fast as possible. The performance improvements in 2019 mainly focus on data visualization and results processing. Solving your study is one thing, but being able to effectively communicate the results you want is another. The introduction of the new heat flux plot makes it easier than ever to visualize the way that heat is moving throughout your system. With a few simple clicks, we can see how the heat is moving through the different components in my heatsink assembly, or you can select all the components in the project and see all of the paths that the heat is taking throughout the assembly. With the pie chart active, you can see how much of your heat is generated by specific components, so you know where to focus your cooling efforts. Along those same lines, you can calculate heat flux on semi-transparent surfaces. In this example, if we wanted to know the heat flux distribution of the window panes, we can see how much radiation the panes are letting in and how much they are bouncing back to the environment. This feature allows for more complex heat analysis and visualization. The next data visualization improvement in 2019 is the ability to calculate surface parameters individually in closed contours. For example, if we have a section plane that divides my intakes into several closed contours like this one, we can set up a surface parameter using my cut plot to calculate the air temperature at each intake individually without all the work required in previous releases. Simply define the surface parameter using the cut plot and select the Separate checkbox to display all of the contours as individual results. With more customizable visualization parameters, you can now add mathematical functions such as min, max, average, and integral values into your project. In this example, I've defined a custom Reynolds number parameter in the engineering database to characterize my fluid. If we wanted to see the Reynolds number distribution throughout each individual intake, all we have to do is toggle my cut plot to the custom parameter and it comes right up. SOLIDWORKS Flow Simulation 2019 makes it easier than ever to go from project setup to delivering results. With the increased interoperability between the different modules such as PCB and simulation, SOLIDWORKS makes it easy to communicate changes and update your model as you grow throughout the design process.
Enhancements for Composer 2019 are focused around two critical aspects of creating technical documentation: working efficiently and staying organized. Technical documentation creators are often in a race around the clock, as they're usually the last to get the information they need to finish the task. Composer gives document creators a huge head start by allowing them to update their documents as the design progresses. In 2019, you'll find efficiency has been improved even more, giving you the speed you need to get those documents out the door when the product is ready. You'll find that the interface has been improved for a cleaner look. Don't worry, everything is right where you left it. Nothing has moved. This is just a cleanup for higher resolution monitors so you can find what you're looking for faster. If you're searching for what you're looking for, you'll find that the search bar is more accessible as well. Previously hidden under the File menu, it's now in plain sight. Composer was first to have selection sets, making it quick to repeat difficult selections. But making the first selection can be tricky. Composer 2019 allows us to make selections easier, as well as identify what we have selected. A fast new way to select adjacent parts is now available just by right-clicking on the part. Once you have your selection made, you'll find that we now have a convenient readout telling us exactly what we have selected. Without anything selected, the status bar will tell us the total number of collaborative and geometry actors that are in the entire model. Once we've selected an actor, or multiple actors, the count will update to show us how many items we have selected. My favorite part is that we can click down on that number and it will give us statistics for the model, like the number of geometry actors and collaborative actors. Selections aren't the only thing that's been made easier for 2019. Displaying measurements has been improved as well, whether you're inserting them manually or importing them from SOLIDWORKS. When you're looking to point something out, you'll also find that arrows can now maintain their size for a more consistent experience. Staying organized is also a necessity when creating technical documents. Composer 2019 provides us with a number of ways we can keep complexity from slowing us down. Views can now be locked to prevent unintentional changes. A custom view indicator now provides more clarity as to what we're saving. The animation timeline now provides better options for keeping things organized. Blocks are visible in the timeline for empty space, allowing us to manipulate it easier. Previously, if an animation block needed to be changed, we would have to delete it and recreate it. We no longer have to worry about changing our animation blocks. There is now the ability to update a section in the animation area. When deleting an actor from the model, if it was associated to any animation blocks, you get a message letting you know that the block is no longer tied to any actor. It will give you the option to easily delete the animation block. The Auto Center option will make sure our model is visible during the entire animation from the animation library. One of the most difficult issues with staying organized is controlling revisional changes. Composer 2019 now provides long-awaited integration with SOLIDWORKS PDM. With Composer 2019, your documents will be on time and sharper than ever. You'll work faster and with greater clarity than ever before.
All right, Derek. Well, simulation in Composer, highlights from that section.
Highlights from that section. I don't use Sim all that much, but I'm really, really in love with the topology optimization that we have. I think that product or that functionality is so cool, and I like how now we can save it out in a mesh format that we can 3D print. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it makes for a really nice visual, especially if you're doing a presentation or something like that. You can really show exactly what's going on there.
Yeah. So that's my personal favorite, but I think the favorite for everyone else is the enhanced remote load, remote mass property manager.
That is a neat one as well.
Yeah, I think that's big. With Composer, and I talk about MBD a couple days ago, so I have kind of that in my heart. But the ability to import PMI information right into Composer, I think, is going to be really helpful. Maybe not this year, but at least down the road, so we can kind of use that functionality. I also think the new search enhancement in Composer is awesome because we have that in SolidWorks. We needed that in Composer.
Yeah, and it was kind of there before, but it was kind of buried, and now it's kind of rounded out and more available.
Yeah, when Mindy was like, "Oh yeah, there's a search," I was like, "There's a search? Where is it? Where is it? I have no idea." So I think that's good. And then obviously the PDM integration. I mean, like we said, we're not super PDM users, but
it's an important part.
It is a really important part. So what do we got going on tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we're moving into electrical. So we've got electrical and PCB coming up.
Okay.
Stay tuned.